going on, Jerome's beautiful Saturday? Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's a time for another Vikings news dump. And there's actually Vikings news in today's dump. Who knew? So first off, and yes, we're fully in the thick, THICC thick of the, hey, this really good player got cut usually for salary cap reasons. Vikings should sign him. And the Dolphins let go of two studs yesterday, Emmanuel Ogbah on the edge, the pride of Oklahoma State, as well as Xavien Howard, the pride of Baylor. Just go all Big 12 defense on this thing. Actually worked out, but both of them have ties to Brian Flores. Both of them played some of their best ball with Brian Flores and Mike Garafolo. Go. Vikings have foreign cornerback Xavien Howard that he will be released at the start of the league year. Sources tell me and Peter Schrags. The four-time Pro Bowl selection is expected to have significant interest on the market. Now, not only would Howard significantly upgrade the Vikings cornerback room. He's an absolute alpha. He's a stud. He's a set it and forget it type cornerback. And is he the same guy that was all pro and four-time Pro Bowler from back in the day? Probably not. But also, even with the cap going up, I think that the ties with Flores, they seem to be on the same page, as well as the fact that the Vikings defense could be really, really damn good. I mean, in terms of drafting a cornerback, I don't want to use this as an excuse, but the Vikings drafting a cornerback as of lately, it just hasn't been good for like the past decade and a half. So get a guy who you know is good. Pay the cash, and Howard probably still has multiple years at very good level of play left in him. So definitely go after Xavien Howard, as well as I would throw a couple million at Emmanuel Ogbah, especially since his play has been down the last couple years, as well as got dinged up. I would rather have Ogbah than Davenport all damn day long. Absolutely. And speaking of the cap, so one of the ramifications of the cap going up precipitously is, so Rob Brzezinski has gotten some flack last couple of seasons for using void years, kicking the can down the road, so to say. Now, it's a difficult balance because you can really paint yourself into a corner like the Saints or like the Buffalo Bills, but the key is you don't take on dead cap or significant dead cap for players who you don't see around. So you don't restructure guys that you may have to cut or trade in the next couple of years, right? So that's the main thing about it, is that the Vikings, yes, they've had dead cap, except it hasn't been significant amounts, and they've taken their medicine when they've needed to. And yes, they've sort of been shifting things and kicking the can down the road with Kirk Cousins. But like we said, the value of $1 in the future is less than the value of $1 right now. Ooh, that got deep and thoughtful. But the whole thing is that the Vikings knew that there was going to be a significant camp jump this year, and there's going to be also much larger ones with the new TV deals coming up as well. So the Vikings, even including void year dead cap hits of 20.5 with Kirk and 14 and change with Daniil and 6.8 with Davenport, they still have about $40 million in cap space. So they're going to be perfectly fine if they want to bring Kirk back or Daniil back, and they could still be players in free agency. Plus, they could restructure O'Neal if they see him part of the future. They could cut, or Harrison could retire, and also they could get a long-term extension done with JJ, and that could free up around $60 million in cap space. So they could certainly be fine. And also teams with the most cap space now. So the Commies, the Patriots, the Bears, the Titans, and the Bengals. Now, the Bengals should just sign all offensive linemen. Just protect Joe Burrow one time, man. Just one time. But what's interesting is the Commies. So they do have the number 2 overall pick. So they could have their quarterback on his rookie deal, which is the best competitive advantage. Frankly, I wonder if a team would take this tact where all they do is take rookie quarterbacks high. They ride him until his rookie deal is up. They trade him on his 5th-year option if he's worth two poops. And then they just spend money everywhere else, especially offensive line, especially running game, especially defense. Could that be sustainable? Could that work? Because there's a lot of teams paying a lot of money for very mid quarterbacks. I feel personally attacked. But you look at Daniel Jones, you look at even Dak, you look at Derek Carr. Imagine what you could do if instead of paying your quarterback $40 million, he was on his rookie deal, so you're paying him like 5 or 6, and you spend the rest of that sweet, sweet dough on the rest of your team. I wonder if that would work. Although there isn't a single GM alive who would have the cojones to do it. They would have to be very secure in their job. Speaking of very secure, so the Vikings need to secure JJ, otherwise there's going to be some very unsecure jobs coming up. And, Pro Football Focus put up, he's the only receiver to have 4 straight 90-plus grades, blah, 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 blah. But all the analytics don't need him. Eyeball tests. JJ is a difference maker. He is truly the best wide receiver in the game, and he's going to be a future first ballot Hall of Famer. So pay him and keep him in purple. Now, the question is the holdup with JJ him wanting guaranteed money in subsequent years of his contract? Yes. Is he looking for a potentially like a 2 or 3 year extension, but it's fully guaranteed? Maybe. Is he potentially looking for a deal that's tied to the salary cap? A certain percentage as opposed to just dollars. It would be interesting. I don't think that he would get it. If there was a non-quarterback who could get it, I think it could be JJ. But I think the first person, eventually there's going to be a player that does this. And there have been scuttlebutt about Andrew Luck being potentially getting the first cap percentage contract, I believe, back in the day before he retired. But it's going to happen at some point. Wonder who's going to be. Speaking of quarterbacks, so Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, Laundry Day. So he was on NFL Network talking about potential landing spot for Kirk Cousins is the Denver Broncos. Now the Broncos, they got to deal with Russ's contract, and they're going to have to take on a lot of dead cap, and they're going to have to move some things around. But could they bring in Kirk? Sure, right. And Pelissero's whole premise was, hey. Stupid ass Sean Payton hasn't really worked with rookie quarterbacks before outside of a one off during the Rona year with Ian Book. He's always had Drew Brees and whatnot, but I don't know. I just don't see it now. Yes, I don't know how he still has a job, but our former guy, Jumpin' George Payton, is still technically general manager in Denver, and he was assistant to the regional GM here at the Vikings when they signed Kirk Cousins in free agency, 3 years, $84 million, fully guaranteed in 2018. So maybe some connections are there, sure, but I don't know. I feel like it's Atlanta or the Vikings. Very small outside chance anywhere else, and of that chance is probably Pittsburgh. But who knows, man? Something I do know is that the Vikings have a couple of new coaches on their staff. Alec Lewis, the Athletic Go. Vikings hired Sean Sarrett as their assistant offensive line coach. Sarrett had been with the LA Chargers for 3 seasons. And Sarrett's pictured here. I like when offensive line coaches look like offensive line coaches. This dude looks like an O-line coach from back in the day. That's great. Kevin Connell also added Henry Schneider IV. The friggin' Duke of Wellington or something. As assistant to the regional head coach, Schneider had been in Vegas assisting with aspects of head coaching agenda. So, he'd been working with McDaniels. What the hell, man? What the hell? But the Regal, Sir Henry Schneider IV. I feel like whenever you have like Roman numerals past 3, it gets a little bit pompous. So, like, if RG4 comes out, I mean, that kid's going to be, like, royalty. I don't know, man. But I'm mainly upset because, so, the wife wouldn't let me name our kid, like, Andy Jr. I don't know why. She's just against, like juniors and the seconds and third. I was trying to start a lineage. Anyways. Doesn't matter. So you may be saying to yourself, all right, so Chris Cooper is still in power as O-line coach. What happened to Justin Riscotti? Apparently I missed this. But Riscotti was hired with the Bengals as their passing game coordinator. Also, it's kind of weak. So they didn't even have a headshot of Riscotti as I die. Is that you, Rona? From when he was with the Vikings. They had to use a Broncos one. That's weak sauce, man. I'm a passing game coordinator with Jumpin' Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins just got franchise tag. Maybe they get Brock Bowers. I mean, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. Riscotti moving on up in the world. Maybe he becomes OC and head coach someday. Who knows, man? Lastly, so one of the OG viral clips was the referee from the Maryland and NC State game, Go Terrapins versus Wolfpack, of the personal foul, number 69. He was giving him the business. And again, one of the best officiating calls ever. It was great. Oh, there's another one from the other night where it was in like hockey game where it's like, you're not going to like this, but blah, blah, blah. was good. It was good, man. But so Aaron Henderson, fuck in the day, a little bro of E.J. Henderson, both Maryland alums, go Terps. Both ran it with the Vikings as well. So Aaron Henderson was on the field that day, which is fantastic. And this was said. I was on the field. I just said that. When he said this, we gave my homeboy the blues the rest of the season. Shut up before I get 69 to give you the business again. Now, 69 was offensive lineman for NC State, so the defense is on the field, so Aaron Henderson was out there. That's hilarious. I mean, this is before social media. This is before YouTube, so this was... Again, this is like the OG. This was like one of the first viral clips. Actually, was it before YouTube? It doesn't matter. But this is one of the first viral things, and it was great. It comes up all the time. Whenever there's any funny refereeing thing, everyone always goes back to giving him the business. And I can't imagine, like, so Aaron was a linebacker. The guy who 6'9" was giving him the business is probably a D lineman. So every single time that guy screwed up or started acting out a pocket, it's just like, oh, hey, don't make me get 6'9" and give you the business. It'd be great. That's awesome, man. I love it, man. But that's it. Enjoy your weekend. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.